Breaking: Lungu family backed NCP's shock decision to quit TONSE. Peter Chanda confirms. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. It's been quite a week in Zambian politics, hasn't it? The temperatures are rising, both literally and figuratively. And as we head deeper into November 2025, the political landscape continues to shift beneath our feet like sand in a windstorm. But today, we bring you a story that has sent shockwaves through the opposition corridors of power. A story of betrayal, of broken promises, of political survival at any cost. What happens when the very foundation of an alliance, built on unity, on legacy, on the memory of a fallen leader, crumbles under the weight of personal ambition? What do you do when those you trusted most turn their sights on your party, your leadership, your very political existence? When does partnership become predation? When does coalition become conquest? What happens when a 24-hour ultimatum arrives in the dead of night, threatening to overthrow a party president? Not through elections, not through consultation, but through backdoor maneuvers and political hijacking. And here's the question that has everyone talking. When the family of the late President Edgar Lungu themselves, the very people whose legacy is supposedly being protected, step forward to endorse a complete withdrawal from an alliance bearing his name. What does that tell you about what's really happening behind closed doors? Today, we unpack the explosive exit of the new Congress Party from the TONSE Alliance. This is the story of Reverend Peter Chanda's dramatic break. This is the story of midnight ultimatums, attempted coups, and the battle for Edgar Lungu's political soul. Join us as we unpack the story behind the headlines, with exclusive analysis, verified sources, and on-ground political insight. Subscribe to InspirAfrica Official for more updates on Zambia's evolving political scene. The revelation came to light through a series of dramatic announcements that began in early October 2025 and culminated in explosive interviews just this week. On October 31, 2025, the new Congress Party issued a formal statement confirming what many had suspected. The party had withdrawn from the TONSE Alliance several weeks prior and would not participate in any alliance activities going forward. But the story actually begins much earlier. On Monday, October 6, 2025, Peter Chanda called a press briefing in Lusaka where he first announced the NCP's position, stating that the party, which had been appointed by late President Edgar Lungu as the special purpose vehicle to carry the TONSE flag into the 2026 elections, was pulling out of the alliance. Chanda explained that the TONSE Alliance had departed from its core values, with most members prioritizing personal egos and greedy agendas over collective responsibility. The timeline of events leading to this break is crucial to understanding the depth of this political fracture. The TONSE Alliance, once envisioned as a platform for unity and collective leadership following the death of former President Edgar Lungu, had degenerated into what Chanda described as a theater of ego and greed. But what really triggered the final break? That answer would come weeks later, in interviews that would expose the true nature of internal power struggles within the alliance. This week, Peter Chanda sat down for an explosive interview on Diamond TV that revealed the shocking details of what transpired in the final days before NCP's exit. Let me read you exactly what he said. These are his words. On the night of Monday, I received a text message from Comrade Zamani Zimba telling me to go before them. You have 24 hours in which to appear before us, or 6 top leaders of NCP will take over leadership in the next 24 hours. Think about that for a moment. A midnight text message. A 24-hour ultimatum. 6 leaders ready to stage what amounts to a political coup. But it gets worse. Here's what happened the very next day. The following day, I tried to call Honorable Lubinda in trying to explain to say I got this text message. But before I could say anything, Honorable Lubinda himself told me to say, "Where are you, BA President? You were supposed to be brought before me today." I said, "Brought before you by whom? You didn't receive a message yesterday that you are supposed to come here? If you delay, your 24 hours ultimatum will be too late." Brought before me. Those were Lubinda's words. Not, "Let's meet." Not, "Let's discuss." But brought before me, as if Peter Chanda were a subject summoned to court. Chanda continued his account. That's when I engaged him in a talk. I said, "Look, sir, I trusted you. I never anticipated that you'd want to take over NCP. I'm serving my term, and my term is ending in May, And then the leaders that I entrusted with my future in the TONSE Alliance, the acting chairman himself of the TONSE Alliance, is instructing his people to try and take over leadership. The betrayal was complete. The man he trusted most was orchestrating his removal. Speaking on Radio Christian Voices chatback program, Chanda explained further. The NCP wondered why it was being sidelined and later summoned to forcefully agree with a faction in the alliance. He described being pressured, threatened, and ultimately left with an impossible choice. When asked what the text message said would happen if he didn't comply, Chanda revealed, 6 top NCP leaders will take over NCP leadership and a named lawyer will be acting president, all without any prior discussions within the alliance. But perhaps the most significant revelation came when Chanda spoke about the response from those who matter most in this saga. The decision I made, and many of the members of the new Congress Party, as well as the general populace, including the former First Family, when I made the first decision, including the second decision itself, they said, "Well, you did well to preserve, because ECL's legacy would have been in the mud." The Lungu family themselves, Edgar Lungu's own relatives, commended the decision to leave TONSE, saying it preserved his legacy. In his October 31st statement, Chanda made the NCP's position crystal clear. The NCP remains open to collaborating with individuals and groups who sincerely uphold the vision and legacy of the late President Edgar Lungu. However, those attempting to abuse his name for personal political survival are betraying his memory and dividing the movement he left behind. And then came the decisive declaration. I have made the firm decision to stop escorting others into State House. I will now offer myself to the Zambian people as a presidential candidate. Peter Chanda was done playing second fiddle. The NCP would chart its own course. So what does all this mean for Zambian politics as we approach the 2026 general elections? The NCP's withdrawal signals what analysts are calling deepening fractures within Zambia's opposition alliances, with Chanda positioning himself as a defender of integrity and Lungu's political legacy while distancing from both PF and TONSE power struggles. The move marks a significant shift within the TONSE Alliance, which has been a key opposition bloc, and underscores growing fractures ahead of the 2026 elections, raising questions about the alliance's capacity to present a united front against the ruling party. The broader context is equally troubling. TONSE exists as the latest in a series of failed opposition alliances, following the collapse of the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, which imploded due to greed, ego, and ambition tearing it apart. The TONSE Alliance itself is now split into competing factions, with Sean Tembo pulling one way and Given Labinda pulling another, creating the fundamental question: which TONSE Alliance was the special purpose vehicle going to belong to? For the Patriotic Front, this represents yet another crisis. The PF remains without clear direction, with uncertainty about who truly leads it: Robert Shabinga, Brian Mundable, Miles Sampa, or Given Labinda, leaving the party in disarray as elections approach. As for Given Labinda's response, the PF acting president and TONSE Alliance acting chairperson stated he would comment on the matter only after engaging Chanda directly, saying, "I have already sent some people to look for Chanda to get the context of this matter. For now, I cannot comment." But perhaps the most significant implication involves the Lungu family's endorsement of Chanda's decision. Their support carries enormous weight in a political environment where Edgar Lungu's legacy remains contested terrain. When the former First Family explicitly stated that Chanda did well to preserve Edgar Lungu's legacy, and that remaining in TONSE would have been in the mud, they delivered a devastating verdict on the alliance claiming to carry his banner. The NCP has made clear it will not tolerate attempts by those attempting to abuse his name for personal political survival, describing such actions as betraying his memory and dividing the movement he left behind. Looking ahead, Chanda has indicated that if the PF fails to resolve its internal differences before the 2026 elections, the NCP would consider adopting some of its members of parliament to stand under its ticket, as a way to honor Lungu's legacy. The question now is whether other smaller parties will follow Chanda's lead. Political observers suggest that Chanda's decision may embolden other smaller parties to chart their own path, potentially signaling the beginning of the end for TONSE as a unified political front ahead of the 2026 elections. For a man who entered politics as a reverend preaching unity, Peter Chanda now finds himself leading a party that has chosen principle over partnership, independence over alliance, and preservation of legacy over political convenience. The big question remains: Can the NCP survive and thrive as an independent entity? Or will this prove to be a miscalculation in Zambia's complex political chess game? Only time, and the 2026 ballot box, will tell. Thank you so much for watching today's documentary report here on InspirAfrica Official. This is a developing story, and as we've seen throughout Zambian politics, things can change rapidly. The battle for opposition unity, or disunity, continues to unfold before our eyes. What do you think about Peter Chanda's decision? Did he do the right thing by pulling the NCP out of TONSE? Should the Lungu family's endorsement carry this much weight in opposition politics? And what does this mean for the 2026 elections? Drop your thoughts, your analysis, and your predictions in the comments section below. We want to hear from you. This is your platform to engage, to debate, to share your perspective on these critical developments shaping our nation's political future. We'll be back with more updates, more investigations, and more in-depth analysis as this story continues to develop. The opposition landscape is shifting, and we'll be here to document every twist and turn. Until next time, this is Nakash for InspirAfrica Official. Stay informed, stay engaged, and keep watching this space.